We recently went to METS in Amsterdam, and it's sort of like the CES for the marine world. We spent a ton of time checking out the electric motors that are all spanking new for 2025. And let me tell you, compared to what we tested just a couple years ago, as far as electric motors go, there are so many more options. And the size, the weight, the range, it has all gotten just so much better. So in this video, we're sharing some of our top finds from the show, starting with a 25 horsepower replacement going all the way down to a 3 horsepower. And make sure you stick around to the end of the video where we'll give you our take on which of these motors we'd be buying.
Okay, we are at ZeroJet, which we are very familiar with their jet system, and we've had an incredible time with our jet tender, but there's something new that they are launching, and it is, well, doesn't give you buyer's remorse, but it makes you want more, and that's not necessarily always a good thing when you've already got a tender. So, tell us about this new outboard.
Awesome, thank you, Nikki. Good to see you guys up here, and thanks for coming around. So yeah, very excited obviously to launch this. As you say, like we've had the jet system for a while now. We've got quite a lot of boats all over the world using that. The system's working really well. It's nice and performing really good. Over the last few months, we thought, hey, look, we've got the motor, the technology, the architecture to build an outboard. And initially thought the space was quite crowded, as there is a lot of people in the space. But when we started doing the numbers, there's no one actually producing a 25 horsepower outboard. The big thing for us as well, because we produce our own electric motors, our motors are quite high power to weight. So that's allowed us to build an electric 25 horsepower outboard that weighs only 38 kilograms.
Which is bonkers. So it's got to be one of the lightest on the market.
It is the lightest, yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay,
yeah,
so the lightest, and especially for the 25 horsepower, and everything's integrated into.
Yep. Full integrated, so same as our jet system, we've got a full closed loop cooling system. So the motor sits up here. We've got a belt drive that runs down to the bottom. Nice thing with the belt drive, it's quiet, it's efficient, it saves weight, it's a carbon fiber belt, so low maintenance. And then we've got a heat exchanger here. So same as the jet system, don't pump salt water through anything. So it keeps all your electronics being looked after. So you don't even have to flush it after use. It's a
you're not worried about leaks, no nothing. I mean, other than like just surface salts. That's it.
Yeah, just general use of just giving a hose down on top. But there's no need to flush it like you do with a traditional thing anymore. So we've integrated the display onto the front. So just push button, the system runs, everything can be accessed from there. And if you're going to run a helm steering setup, a steering wheel, then this would just move onto the helm. There's a cover sits on there. But it's available helm steer, tiller steer, and that's obviously just whatever length you need. And proper Amphenol plugs and connectors.
Yeah. How about the battery system that's going to go with this? Because we know what the jet propulsion system looks like. Is it similar?
Yes, it's similar. So, because we've already got the Super B batteries that we've been using for a long time, they're quite a high performance battery. The jet system is offered with those. We've had a lot of people asking for different batteries. There's various products out on the market. So the Outboard's actually being launched with a third-party integration module, so you can plug any battery into it. If you want to use MG, Mastervolt, Relion, Victron, your top brands, which is what your most marine systems are. So we're supporting those as well.
That's very non-Apple environment of you to play so nicely with other brands.
Yeah, so I'll take that a step further even. So the propeller is an off-the-shelf propeller, standard spline. You can walk into any marine shop and buy it. If you want to change it to a 4-blade, a different blade, a higher pitch, a lower pitch, go and buy what you want. You don't have to come back to us to buy a uniquely shaped special prop that you can only get from one place, because Outboards, I like my jets, you can't smash the props on them.
I'm right, you avoid the coral, you never worry about anything. I agree with you on that. I love that.
Just like the jet, we wanted to make it easy to service and hard to replace this. So 48 volt, you can service it anywhere, you don't need any special skills. And also for the standard prop drives.
Let's talk about maintenance, which is really the lack thereof, but let's talk about it anyway. What do you need to do if you own one of these?
Not run your prop into things would be good. But other than that, it's got a closed loop cooling system, yearly services in the oil if you want to change it. We don't really change the oil. I don't think you guys have changed the oil and stuff, so if you do a lot of damage to the propeller, you may need to do a belt replacement. But even the belt replacement, there's 3 screws in the bottom leg comes out, the cover comes off, you pull the belt out the top, drop a new belt in, put the bottom in. It's a quick job to do. So that's probably the only thing I would say is real maintenance.
So even for spare parts and anything, the only thing you might keep as a spare would maybe be an extra prop, but we wouldn't be the type to care about it. We just wait until we dinged it and then we would replace it after that. But it's like, other than that, like, you're not worried about filters, no spark plugs, no oil, no nothing.
Exactly.
Like, that's the beauty of these. Okay, well then let's talk about runtime.
The Outboard, the low speed efficiency is incredible. The Jet's low speed efficiency is not so great. Once we're planing with a Jet, because you don't have drag, it actually performs better high speeds, where this will give you longer range at that, sort of 3, 5, 10 knots kind of range, or 12 knots kind of thing.
So we have the OC 330.
Yep.
Say we took our jet system off and we put this on.
Yep.
What would you estimate? Because we're getting a pretty solid 2 hours, and that's us kind of really going at it. So you think we get similar runtime with similar battery setup?
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
Okay.
Because it's using the same motors, the same technology. Apart from the leg dragging in the water, the system is relatively the same. Yeah, that's the only resistance. So.
Okay. Just to remind everybody, the jet system, tell us what the horsepower is equivalent of that.
So 18 kilowatt, so it's 25 horsepower. Torque probably closer to a 30, and the same for the Outboard. There'll be more power coming in the next few months too. We've already done some tests that show some very exciting numbers.
Okay, so that's a little hint at a drop coming
Yes.
later, maybe? All right, well, very cool. I have to say, the size of it it's so much smaller than I thought it was going to be, because up until now, so many of the options are just so heavy. To put them on something like the back of an OC tender is just too heavy. Yeah, you can't do it. This is smaller than your average 25 horsepower non-electric motor, which is so crazy. So yeah, I'm just so impressed.
Electric outboards and motors have always had a challenge of the battery and the weight and the things. It's always a little bit heavier than a combustion. For the first time ever, we're getting close to that. So we're at 38 kilograms, add 40 kgs of battery to it, and we weigh the same as a 4-stroke. So for the first time ever in history, we now have technology that is comparable with combustion as far as power, performance, and weight. So I'm excited about this.
I am excited about this too. And then charge time, I imagine that's similar as well.
Yeah, similar. So if you go fast charger on the big battery, it's about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
It's 1.5 on the small battery. And if you go for the slow charging option, if you're depending on your infrastructure on your boat, it's basically 5 hours or 3 hours, depending on that.
I can't even think of anything else to say other than normally that's not something you would say to somebody. It's like, oh, but it's just so tiny. But in this case, it's actually a really good thing. You're like, you want it to be small and lightweight, but it looks beautiful. I'll let you judge for yourself.
I think the biggest takeaway here is the power to weight ratio. So you have a high power motor and a lightweight motor. So, power to weight. And that's really important because when you want to plane, top speed and comfort when you're riding, all that's very important. It's a very important metric. And I also think that this is the first time we've ever seen an electric setup match a gas setup, because normally the batteries or the electric motor weigh a lot more. So this is, I think, a big leap in technology, which is cool to see. And then of course the motor, I think, looks slick. Yeah, it looks nice, but it looks familiar. It doesn't stand out too much in a crowd, in a sea of other outboards. And I think that's really important when you're a world cruiser.
Quick sidebar here to say that none of these reviews were sponsored by the brands, but this video is made possible by today's sponsor, AG1. And for that, we have the most influential person, at least in Jason's world. And no, it is not me, it is his mom.
No, she is not sponsored by AG1, but she actually did bring the canister with her. So we've already had our early morning AG1. We're gonna have a little late morning pick me up.
Yeah.
I know I got you hooked on this a while back. Do you remember how long ago that was?
Oh, maybe a year and a half ago.
Year and a half ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Texan. Year and a half.
Half an ago. So I've been making it first thing in the morning before we work out. How do you normally take it?
Well, I've tried that, but I have to say usually it's after my coffee. This year I'm going to try really hard to do it like you guys do it.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. That's a goal.
That's your goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I take it first thing in the morning because it really hits me differently than coffee. It feels like I get all the nutrients and all the benefits before I work out. And I guess it's also just been my routine for so long.
Okay, that makes sense.
So have you noticed any benefits since you've been taking it for the past year and a half?
I think I have a lot more energy than I used to have. But really what I like is that I'm not taking pills 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Once and over first thing in the morning.
And I feel like I get energy the same, and it just gets my day started in a positive way, because then I follow it up with yoga or exercise. I think it's a really great routine. And as far as taste goes, I love it when it's cold.
It smells so good.
What do you taste?
I always hear Nikki talk about the vanilla.
Apple. It's so much better when it's cold.
It
Definitely.
is. It is. And you can just, it tastes kind of fruity. It's light. It just doesn't taste nasty like all those other supplements.
There you have it, folks. If you want to try AG1 for yourself, click the link in the description or scan this QR code somewhere around here and get $20 off your first subscription. So, cheers to health.
Cheers.
Love you, Mom.
To health. Love you, honey.
This is another very compact motor called Mitek.
Yeah.
Mitek. So it's an electric motor that is very interesting and unique because it folds up. Can you show us?
Yeah, sure.
In this form here, it feels like it takes up a lot less space.
That's the main reason we invented the Revolve, to have a clean stern. So you can drag the tender on ground on the yacht.
Did you design it more for super yachts or like small sailing yachts, or what was the idea? Luxury.
Yeah, luxury tenders, yeah.
How much does this weigh?
40
kilos?
Yeah, 40 kilos, and the complete system, the Revolve and the box, all the electronics inside that you don't see now.
And as far as space on a tender, on a small tender, you have this sticking out, so then you'll have a small box full of electronics on the inside.
Yeah.
And then you'll have your batteries as well.
Yeah.
Do you have like a favorite size tender for this system?
Yeah, 3 meters.
3 meters is good. 3 to 3.5 meters.
Yeah, 3.5 meters. Yeah.
What's the horsepower of this, equivalent horsepower?
20 horsepower. It ranges from 6 horsepower to 20. 6, 10, 15, and 20 horsepower. It comes in different.
All in the same size? Or?
Yeah, the size remains the same, the case remains the same. It just changes the motor inside. Yeah, and the gearbox, of course.
Anything that needs to be serviced with this mechanism here, because it seems like
The electric motors, no. Yeah, motors, because we have 3 motors. No, but the mechanical components, of course, yes.
yeah, change oil in the gearbox just like a normal, and that's it. How does it cool? Is it water cooled?
Yeah, the water cooling pump is on the boat. You need to drill a hole in your boat.
And for us, we're sailing usually on a catamaran, so we have minimal space between our holes. And with a normal motor, maybe we can only fit a 300 or a 3 meter tender, but with something like this, we might be able to get like a 3.2. So having something compact is a really neat way to get a little more space inside of our tender, without really compromising.
Yeah.
And would you call this like a replacement for a 20 horsepower gas engine?
Yeah.
And then last question is the steering. Is it always a steering wheel?
Yeah, it's all electric. All electric, yeah.
Okay, so it's electric steering, electric throttle. Yeah. Okay.
It's all electric.
Thank you so much for sharing,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
The power to weight ratio on this motor isn't quite as good, but I think it is a really unique solution for the sailor that needs to store their tender on like a swim platform or on the deck or in the garage of a super yacht. And lucky you if you have a super yacht big enough to have a garage.
Okay, we have got 2 electric outboard motors to check out here, or e-motors should I say.
This is actually 10 kilowatts. So obviously it's a quirk of an electric engine. All of the torque is down low.
Okay.
That's where it generates most of its torque. So down low to about mid throttle, it feels like a 25. From a standing start, the thing's amazing. As it gets up in the red range, it feels more like a 15. Same,
That's still pretty good though.
Yeah, it's still really good. The battery is 6.4 kilowatts. This is a dummy battery, so I'm not super strong. It's just dummy. Yeah, though I am super strong. Connectors are all proprietary in-house, so all IP67, all waterproof. In the name of safety, you can essentially plug the battery in, turn the battery on, and this is still dead. Nothing will happen. You can drop it in salt water, drop it in the bottom of the boat with water in the boat. Nothing will happen. It doesn't become alive until it's plugged into the outboard.
Okay, that's a good safety measure.
And then the outboard won't start, won't do anything until the kill switch is actually added to the bottom of the tiller. The battery weight is about 35 kilo. It's a little on the heavy side, but compared to the competition, for 6.4 kilowatts, it's extremely light. Yeah.
And so 6.4 kilowatts for this 10 kilowatt motor is going to give us about an hour runtime.
It's just under an hour. So this is the high speed prop that it comes with, or there's a high thrust prop. So if you choose the right prop for your application and get the right setup, you're probably looking at like maybe 48 minutes, maybe 50. And that's at full
throttle.
speed. So on a 3.5 meter high field, which is the video, it does 18 knots, which is pretty incredible.
That's pretty fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to get just a little under an hour going that full 18
full,
knots. Yeah, because you're just really ripping and roaring out there. And then the battery pack, which I did think was quite great, will actually fit in the fuel compartment.
Absolutely.
On the high field. So if that's your tender, that's quite a selling point.
And
right
if you
there.
want extended range, we do have a battery hub, so you can plug in 4 of these batteries into the one hub.
And tell me the weight on this one.
So this is 22 kilo, minus the actual transom mount, but this is the party trick, I think, of the M10. We have one ring pull just here. If you unlock, the entire outboard will come off. I think a gas equivalent is 68 kilo, so it's a 2-man job. This is pretty, I mean, it's not super light, but at 22 kilo, it's totally manageable.
So many sailors do, especially you know monohulls and such. You know, you need that extra space whenever you finally raise your tender up for offshore. They like to get the motor off the back.
And there's a locking system to lock it all together. So there's a clamshell that goes around this ring pull with a padlock, so you can lock the outboard to the mount. So it's all nice and safe. Tiller, there we go, folds away. So it's all nice and compact.
So one last question for you,
Sure.
and that's going to be on the maintenance side of things. So what do we need to think about when we're thinking about annual maintenance?
We have software and an algorithm in the display and in the trip computer that allows the prop to detect foreign objects. So if
okay,
there's
that's great. If you get something wrapped around.
some fishing line, I think fishing line's probably the number one culprit for
Plastic
something
bags.
going wrong. Plastic bags not so much, but this fishing line will work its way up into the seal.
Yeah.
So what we've done is 2 seals on the front of the motor.
Okay.
So if one seal is damaged, the other seal will protect it. But the main maintenance I would suggest is if the motor ever gets a foreign object in the prop, is to pull the prop off and check the seal.
Okay.
Other than that, it has 2-year warranty and it is pretty much maintenance free.
What's your cooling?
It's passive cooling, so
Passive cooling.
it actually runs a gearbox. It runs a reduction box. It's not direct drive.
Okay.
In this section here is the motor, and at the front is the gearbox. All of the drive components for the drivetrain are in that assembly, and it's all passive cooled by the water flow. So there's no cooling tubes, there's no capillaries, there's nothing to take on foreign debris, clog up, and affect the performance of the motor.
Nice.
It's all really, really simple, really straightforward.
And you haven't had any issues with it, like overheating and like warmer tropical weather or anything like that?
All of our testing's done in Singapore, and the water temp, I think,
It's pretty high.
maybe with the exception of somewhere like Qatar or Dubai, which we do have engines in Dubai, test models, it's pretty much the hottest water temperature in the world.
Okay.
And so that's where we've done all of our testing. But we've also done cold water testing. So we have
Also very important, yeah.
we have batteries and test motors up in Glasgow to make sure it's both sides of the spectrum, right? Hot
Yeah.
water and cold
Yes,
water.
And cold water. Cool. I think that just about does it. I think you've
No
answered
problem.
most every question I can
Cool.
think of. Thank you.
I'll also cover, I guess, in the software, there's algorithms that'll tell you what's wrong. So I think a lot of the other brands will have error 34 or error 46.
Okay.
This actually tells you what's happening and
Okay.
gives you a little bit of troubleshoot before if you can't solve it, then contact the distributor. So really comprehensive in the way that it interacts with the customer. if they have an
Very
issue.
cool. All right. Well,
Cool.
maybe one day I'll get to try it out.
We'll make sure of that.
Yeah.
We'll be in the States very soon.
The power to weight ratio on this guy is pretty competitive, but I think my favorite feature has got to be the fact that they designed that transom mount on the tender to be separate from the motor, so you can easily just pop that motor off and stow it away. It's really clever.
All right, something new to show you today, one that I have personally never seen or heard of until today, although it is from the USA, so that one it was a bit surprising to me, but it is the Ion 6, and it's a very sleek, flashy looking new electric motor, which I'm very excited to hear a little bit more about, but I'm not going to give you that information because I don't know it, so we're going to hand it over here.
Thank you. The Ion 6 is, we're really excited to have it here in Amsterdam. So brand new electric offering from Ilmor, so a 6 kilowatt electric outboard with some really unique and premium features. Fully integrated electric tilt and trim, so we can tilt this 75 degrees out of the water. Really a nice offering. Brand new at the show, we have a tiller mounted arm, full color touchscreen control interface.
Very slick looking. It's the first that I've seen with that kind of integrated screen into there. The tilting is also
Right there, yeah.
Yeah, we've seen some that rotate and go sideways and such, but no tilting to come up out of the water. So that's kind of a unique feature. And then just to kind of give everybody a little bit of an idea, so you've got a battery battery case over here.
We do, yeah.
So you can buy batteries from you, but you can use whatever battery you want as well,
That is
right?
correct. We are battery agnostic. So if you have
Okay.
a preference for lithium, go for it. If you want to do a more lead acid or a traditional approach, that's fine too. It's a 48 volt system, so any way you can get to 48 volts, our system will work with it.
Okay, very interesting. With your battery pack that you have here, what's the size of that?
So this is a 4.4 kilowatt hour battery pack.
Okay, so 4.4, and is that what you maybe have in that high field
That's exactly
right there?
what we've done all of our testing with. Yeah.
All right, so 330 high field, and we've got our 6 kilowatt motor on there
Correct.
with our battery bank. So about, what's our runtime?
So our runtime at wide open throttle is going to be right around 40 minutes. Full speed on that's about 12 knots. Pull it back to about 6 knots, and you'll get over 2 hours. Pull it back a little bit more to about 4 knots, and you can get over 4 hours of runtime.
Not too bad, and the battery size is,
Quite compact.
yeah, so not too terrible to try to find a spot in your dinghy for that. But let's talk maintenance.
Built to be maintenance free. Direct drive motor, so no gearbox, so no worries in there. Our motor controller is mounted underneath the water for passive cooling, so no need for a cooling pump. We have an anode here on the end. Replace that occasionally. Everything else is maintenance free.
Being passively cooled like that, even in higher temperatures, like let's say you're down in Florida and it's the middle of summer,
Yeah.
it's still okay?
Yeah, our development testing was done in Fort Lauderdale, so quite high water temperatures, no issues at all down there.
All right. Can you think of anything else over there? Oh,
Oh,
yes.
the lights, yes,
The-
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean it's the thing that's screaming at you. Please pay attention to me. Yeah. Okay, so tell us about the lights.
Yes, in addition to being aesthetically beautiful, full RGB control, so from the touchscreen at the helm, you can adjust your color to your liking, but then also a safety feature. As soon as the system is operational and goes into gear, these go bright white, visual indication that the system's operating.
And then one more for you. You said you can lock this, like with the passcode.
Yes, absolutely. Very unique feature there. So both the remote steer and the tiller steer model are passcode locked. So just like your phone, set your passcode, never have to worry about forgetting your keys again.
Yeah, so good luck for somebody trying to figure that one out, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. And this is your first electric, right?
This is our first electric, but it won't be our last.
Poke, waiting for something to come out later. Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
appreciate it.
Yeah.
This one is a very eye-catching design that looks right at home cruising somewhere like Miami. And that keypad, wow, I mean, that's the first time we've seen a customizable lock for a tender or an outboard. And normally we just all have the same key. So that's pretty clever. And then for our final motor, we are going back to Momentum to show you the tiniest motor in the lineup.
And this one's quite cool to me because this is a 2 kilowatt, which kind of reminds me of the Spirit a little bit, but just double the power. So it's an in-between size that we haven't really seen much of.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the 2 kilowatt here.
This is the first time anyone's seen it. We've released it at the show. 2 kilowatt, we're calling it the U series.
The U series.
Correct. So basically, we're kind of marketing it to the 1 kilowatt scene. So when you squeeze the accelerator, you get 1 kilowatt. You press the button and you get 2 kilowatts.
Oh, so it's sort of like a governor.
Yeah, it kind of locks it out for the first time user. It's also a tactile signal that you're using more power, you're going to get less range.
Oh, that's actually,
Yeah.
that's quite smart because now that's
Correct.
keeping you at your 50%
Correct.
range,
Yeah.
which is going to help you so that you're not accidentally going further. So yeah, you're going to
Exactly.
get a
So
lot
it's just-
more hours
Just
out
a
of that.
reminder that you're about to become inefficient
Yeah.
for a little bit more speed.
Right, but that's okay because when you need it, right?
Yeah,
You're trying to get back to your boat, you
For
want to
safety.
actually make it.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
cool.
Just to remove the battery, it's just one little clip here. You pull the clip and the battery comes off. When you put the battery back on, a lot of the other outboards, you have to line up the second cable, make sure you get it right when you lock it in. This, you can literally hold it in place and the
drop
battery will
it.
do its work.
Like, what is the range with this? So let's say if you're using it at the 50%.
So it's a 1.4 kilowatt hour battery. So
Okay.
you'll be just over an hour at 1 kilowatt. It's
Okay.
pretty much the same as the others.
All right.
Obviously at 2 kilowatts, you're going to lose quite a bit of that range. Be well under an hour, around sort of half an hour mark.
See your video over here. It looks like you've got high field 310.
Yep.
If I'm cruising at that 1 kilowatt.
Sort of the 5 to 6 knots.
Okay, that's not bad actually. That's pretty
around
good.
there. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And
Comparable with other 1 kilowatts on the market.
Right, and then of course again you get in that current, you can actually
You get
still
that boost,
you
yeah.
get
And the
that
whole
boost,
idea of that is
yeah.
we have 3 variants in the props coming. So we have the standard propeller, a high-speed propeller, and a high-thrust propeller. So if you're going to use it on, say, a sailboat, you go the high-thrust.
Yeah.
If you're using it on a small dinghy, you use the high-speed propeller, and then the standard propeller is just a propeller it comes with. So there's a few choices there depending on the application.
I watched you take this off here earlier and it looks pretty
cool.
slick.
It's pretty simple. So it's the same basic mechanism for the battery. One level down is for the outboard itself. You clip the clip, it's lift off. It's as simple as that. Yep. And then the tiller's 3 positions. The tiller is in this position. You can up for out of the way in the boat, and it'll lock in that position. Down, I might let you grab that. I've got hands full. And then all the way down, if you want to go all the way down. So all the way down for a carry handle. And the weight, we're looking at about sort of 8 to 9 kilos on the battery. That's what we're aiming for. And then the unit itself, sort of around 11 kilo. So we're well under 20 kilo for both. Yeah, for the whole, for the battery.
Yeah,
included.
which is, generally I could lift that, no problem.
Yeah.
Tote
20,
that
I
off.
think 20 kilos is the sweet spot.
Yeah.
What is for us. Yeah. So the 2 is, it's just a little bit less than 4 horsepower.
Okay.
Yeah, is the feeling. And then obviously, if you choose the right prop for your application, that little bit less than 4 horsepower will turn into basically 4 horsepower. Yeah.
There's several manufacturers that make a 1 kilowatt motor, and generally people love them. The only caveat is the fact that they don't have quite enough oomph to get through like a current, wind, or heavy chop. So this motor will hopefully bridge that gap.
For us, we're always gonna want a motor that's gonna get the 2 of us plus all of our gear up on a plane, which means we really need a 20 or 25 horsepower equivalent. And that really narrows it right down to the ZeroJet.
If we were willing to go with a 15 horsepower replacement, then I would definitely be test driving the Momentum. And I feel like now the decision to go all electric has gotten much easier, but it's still going to be a debate. We're really waiting on that battery technology to get a little lighter weight and probably more power.
Yep, we need the energy density, but I feel like as soon as batteries make that next leap, then the debate will be over and going all electric will be a no-brainer.
Yeah. And if you're interested in all electric or hybrid inboard motors for your big boat, then that's going to be our next video.
So we will see you then.
Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for watching. Bye,
See you
guys.
next time.